Welcome back to Tech Savvy. My name is Leigh Newman and I'm the Associate Provost on the LaGrange campus of West Georgia Technical College. We enjoy having these episodes because we get to tell you all the fun things that are going on at West Georgia Tech. We spend a lot of time highlighting our instructors, our programs, our initiatives, our students, and it's important for everybody to understand what all's going on out at West Georgia Tech. I need to remind our viewers that if you're a returning student, March 24th is registration opens for your spring or your fall semester. So keep that in mind, put that down on your calendar, and if you need to register, of course you can go on West Georgia Tech. It's www.westgatech.edu and look up registration. If you need extra help, we have the Student Success Center and they can help you with the advisement area. So please visit us on our website, and our phone number is 1-855-277-2384 if you need to call us or just get in touch with us, because we're there to help you and we're ready to do what we can to get you on your next step toward a great career. Today's special guest star he's our interim president, and he has spent many years in technical education, and he's pretty much held every important job in the technical college. So he's got some valuable experience and a lot of input, and it's a good opportunity to let him tell our viewers all the great things that are going on and the plans that we have and the perspective that he has on what we've got to look forward to. So our guest star today is Pat Hannon. He's the interim president. He has been in technical education for 27 years. He served as Vice President of Student Services, Academic Affairs, and Administration. So he spent a lot of time seeing the changes and the improvements and the challenges that we've gone through in technical education. Thank you so much for joining us today, Pat. We appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you, Leigh, and thank you for the opportunity to be here, and let's talk a little bit about West Georgia Tech.
Let's do. Tell me why you've been in technical education for so long.
Gosh, Leigh, I guess I actually started in technical education when we were still under the local county board in 1986, and since then I've seen a tremendous amount of change. I've seen a tremendous amount of change in the technical college system itself, but I've seen a lot of change in the attitude about what we do, and just in the technology that's involved in what we do. Leigh, I'm passionate about what we do in technical education. I think that what we do is vitally important to not only the economic well-being of the region that we serve, but I think it's vitally important to the students that we serve. We, numbers are always important to us, but I hope that we never lose the focus on the fact that the numbers really do represent lives, and they represent opportunities for us that are in the technical college system to help students in that life-changing and life-transforming process. So it's exciting to me. I am passionate about what we do in technical education. I think that we make a difference. I really think it's just because of that passion that, I've just continued 27 years, and I hope I have a number of years still left to go.
Never 27 years.
No, maybe not another 27. Maybe not
much.
another 27, but certainly, I enjoy what I do, and again, I think that we make a real difference.
We definitely do. Can you explain a little more details how we make a difference in these students' lives if they go through all our courses and graduate? Yeah. How is it that we can make a difference?
Yes. Well, Leigh, many of our students, as you know, are first-generation students. So the average age of a technical college student is going to be a bit different than what you'd see at the normal college and university level. The average age of our students is probably 27, 28 years old. Now, we're getting younger. We're getting younger by design, but right now, the majority of our students, as I say, the typical age is probably 27, 28 years old. So we have students that have already been out in the workforce. They've already been out in the world. They're married, and they've got kids, and they've got jobs, and they've got responsibilities. So, they decide for whatever reason that perhaps they're not doing what they want to be doing. Technology changes in what they're doing, and it makes what they're doing really irrelevant right now. So they perhaps are looking to be retooled, retrained to come back into the, just to come back into the workforce. It just may be a situation where, they have finally had the life circumstances that they're involved in line up to whether they are now able to come back to school. The difference that we make, I think, is that because the programs that we offer are relevant programs, they are programs that are supported by the business and industry community and are, again, vitally important to the business and industry community. Folks can come to West Georgia Tech or any technical college in the state, take the program and get the training that they need to get the job that they want to get at a wage that they can support their families at. And I would also want to say that I think what we do is that we help to prepare them not only to get that initial job or to get that, to get that position that they want, but to retain that position.
That's key, because little things like I keep hearing from industry, we just want them to come to work and we want them to be there and be able to work with other people, have basic problem solving skills. We'll teach them how to fix the widget.
Absolutely.
Or we'll teach them how to make the widget. Just, we need them to be there. And that's important in our curriculum and our practices at the technical college.
And Leigh, we hear that every day from we'll have employers that will call the faculty, they'll call me, they'll call you. They're very well satisfied with the programmatic training and our curriculum. They're very, very comfortable that the students are going to come to them with the skills that they need to do the job that they need. And then, as you well know, most companies, once you get in, they also have their own way. They're going to teach you their way as well. What they really look to West Georgia Tech to complement them with are those soft skills, if you will, those skills of understanding that it is important to be on a job on time. And it's important to be prepared to go to work on time. It is important to be able to critically work your way through a problem and to work that process out in a critical path, looking at all of the available information. Things just as simple, maybe sometimes we take this for granted, for just being able to work with other people in a team-like atmosphere, so that there's compromise given and taken. But just many of those things that we think about, and I'm not really sure how we learn them, business community today is telling us that we have a generation right now that doesn't really understand the value of those skills. Mm-hmm. Again, they've got the skills to be able to go to work. They're satisfied with the training that they have, but just understanding some of those soft skills is really important to them. And when it's important to the business community, that makes it very important than just us.
I think that probably, from my experience as associate provost, I feel like we've got rules at the college that are not necessarily just to have rules. They're rules that are very equivalent to those in industry. You have to be at work. You have to be at work before your production starts or before your class starts. You have to be able to work with other people. I mean, these are things that a lot of people have not really actually been trained in, but if you give them the opportunity and the experience, they'll learn firsthand of the importance of it.
Absolutely. I think that, those kinds of patterns, if you can't come to class, if you've got a problem being in class when you should be in class on time, we pretty much know that those same behaviors are not going to just automatically change when you leave school and you enter the working world. Unfortunately, it may change for a very short period of time while you're in that job acquisition stage. But we know that you're going to go back to that unless, again, I don't know that we can teach ethics to anyone, but I think that we can continue to reinforce the behaviors that the business community has identified as being important, as I said, not only to securing a job, but also just to retain that job. So if we know that these are important to our business partners, then I think that just simply by just reiterating it over and over again in every class that you take, and just make sure that you understand why it is important to them, why it's important to us, why it should be important to you. Just that over and over and over again repetition you're gonna have some understanding of what you need to do when you go to work.
Well, I see a lot of decisions being made, or things that I have to, that comes up in front of me. I might want to give the student a little extra leeway here, or understand there's been sickness and da-da-da-da, but they have to know that industry's not going to be that way. They're not going to have any, they got production. They've got issues that they've got to take care of. They've got people depending on you to be at work. And all those things need to be re-emphasized over and over again when we are, when we're teaching our students and we have access to our students.
Well, and just to your point, anything that we can do to mimic the environment of the business world, whether it's through attendance, whether it's through just the attitude that you deal with other people, the way that you interact with both your faculty and your student peers, anything that we can do to mimic what you're going to see there is just going to be a plus for the students.
I agree. Well, what's keeping the students from being able to be there?
Oh gosh, Leigh, again, dealing with the fact that our students are not 18 years old and mom and dad are not paying for as much as they can of it. The majority of our students, again, are mid to late 20s. You've got financial considerations. Many of our students are working and they've got families, and so they have a lot of other considerations other than just my school, my car, my books. They've got kids and they've already made commitments. So many students have got financial concerns that we have to work with them to try to mitigate. You could have transportation seems to be an issue.
Well, we need to take a break right now, but let's start back that when we come back from our break about what we can do to overcome those barriers.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll see you back in a minute. Welcome back to Tech Savvy. We are so fortunate today to have our interim president as our guest star. And Pat, we were just talking about before the break that there are barriers to students that, what keeps people from being students, and there being transportation, costs, childcare. There's a lot of things that, they just don't think they can overcome. What are your solutions to these barriers? What are your bridges over these barriers?
Well, Leah, if we had all of those answers, we'd be in a lot better shape. But I think that truthfully, we've got to look at the student not only in the academic sense of, well, you're here for these courses and this is what we're going to do, but I think we have to look at the student in a more holistic view. And that is, we deal with the entire student. That is that, we deal with that student and all of the challenges or the concerns that, that student has. Now, many things we're not able to really take care of ourselves. We do not have the resources at West Georgia Tech. But we have folks at West Georgia Tech who know where those resources are. They know in the community what resources might be available. So, we have a responsibility, I think, to make sure that we can be that conduit that can help to lead students where they need to be. Try to get them transportation or child care, either through maybe like a colleague that is going to school that maybe lives in the area with them, and just try to the best that we can to work with the student and all that student brings. Because again, as I said earlier, our students are typically first-generation students. They're a little bit older, non-traditional students. They've been out of school for a while. So they've got even those barriers and those concerns about whether or not I can do it, whether I'm smart enough to do it, whether I've got the time to do it. So again, there's a lot of things that we need to work with the students, and we really have the resources, I think, to do that.
Well, I think that I have heard too many times over and over again, well, I'm too old to go back to school. Well, no, you're not.
No.
Nobody is. And didn't we have a graduate a long time ago that was like 84 or 90?
From our GED program, she was in her middle 80s, and Leigh, to listen to her, there would not be a dry eye in this house, because the motivation that this 80-some-odd-year-old great-grandmother had was that she wanted to be that role model for her grandkids and for her great-grandkids, that you never can be too old to learn. And we use that cliche of lifelong learning. It's almost to the cliche standpoint. But the fact of the matter is that it really is lifelong learning. Technology and technology changes happen so quickly right now that, you know, when you and I were younger, and we would sit around and someone might come talk to our class and they'd say that, you know, over the course of my working lifetime, I may hold 4, maybe 5 jobs, but they would all be in the area that I was initially trained for or that I was initially went to school for. They might be increasing levels of, you know, responsibility, but they'd all be in that same career path. And right now, what we talk to young people about and to middle-aged people about is that you will probably hold 5 to 6 different jobs in different career paths in your lifetime, because technology is just changing what we do, making things that we were initially trained for, that we went to school for, obsolete. And so it is really a lifelong process. So there never really is a too old. You can never really be too old, I don't think, because as long as you're working, you're going to be learning.
Well, I love the story about the lady, the GED. I think another story I heard about her is that she just wanted to be able to read to her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. That is so heartwarming. Well, I know that the technical college system has different initiatives to make sure that we keep up with the latest and the greatest technology, but what are some of the initiatives that the system is addressing or taking advantage of, and what are the purposes of it? Give us some trends that are in the technical education.
Oh gosh, I think we're going to be taking a look at in the next few years. Graduation is going to be a lot higher priority now than what it's always been. A high priority in our system, but I think ensuring that students graduate and that they graduate on time. Many of our students graduate, the majority, well, probably in the 65 to maybe 70% range, are graduating from our programs. Truthfully, though, it's taking them much longer than what it should take them to graduate. So I think one of the initiatives that you're going to see is that we're going to be taking a look at the programs themselves, making sure that the curriculum continues to be relevant. We will continue to work with the business community to look at what we do and to make sure that it continues to be relevant. But I also think, again, that making sure that students are graduating and graduating on time is that's a very important thing. I think that another initiative is, while in technical education we have a very, very focused mission, and that is in workforce and economic development, and we don't lose the sight of that mission. That's what we are about. But I feel like that we have a responsibility to our students to make sure that we work with the senior colleges and universities, well, first of all, in our service area, but as many as we can, to make sure that we can articulate pathways for students so that as their life circumstances change, they may be coming to a technical college right now because that's where they're at. They maybe can't make a commitment to a full 4 to 5 years of education right now. But I think that we need to make sure that we've articulated pathways and career ladders for these students so that as you graduate from a technical college and from West Georgia Tech, and as you begin to change your own life circumstances, that you do not have to revalidate, retest, reprove, if you will, that you've actually earned and learned the knowledge and the skills necessary to continue on into a bachelor's degree, or from there on into something else. So I think that we have that responsibility, and so we are working with many of the senior colleges and universities in our area to make that a reality for our students. Those are two that I can think of right off the bat that are things that you're going to see happen in the next little bit.
Well, I think it's exciting. At this point in time, I like to find out from people, if you had an opportunity, we've always been told that the technical college system, especially West Georgia Tech, is like the best kept secret in the community. So, do you agree with that?
I probably would agree with you on that, yes.
Okay. Here's your opportunity to tell our viewers some of the things that you think they need to know about. Now, a lot of people know about certain areas, a lot of people know about other certain areas, but if you had a chance to, here's your chance to tell our viewers things that you feel like they really need to know about. So, I mean, is that kind of leaving you open to?
Well, yeah, but I would start out, I think, by telling the viewers that I think probably one of the best kept secrets is the fact that we have a fantastic faculty and staff at West Georgia Technical College. We have a caring, dedicated faculty that will go above and beyond what they need to do to make sure that we're taking care of these students. Our staff, in my estimation, is exactly the same. I mean, they go above and beyond. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes, Leigh.
Right.
I mean, we certainly do. But again, I think that that's probably one of the best kept secrets that we have. West Georgia Tech, I think, when you talk about the cost of education, and again, we talked a little bit earlier about that being a barrier. We are $85 a credit hour, some of the lowest in the entire Southeast. Certainly some of the lowest, the very lowest in this state. So again, I think that that's a secret that has not gotten out though yet, is that education really is affordable through the technical college system. I think that the programs that we offer, they are relevant programs, they are in-demand programs. Every program that we have is supported by a business advisory committee, so they keep our programs relevant. They make sure that the training that we have going on every day in our classrooms and in our labs is what they need to make sure that we're making our students employable for them.
The equipment, we have to keep it up.
Absolutely, we do.
We've got some brand new equipment in our industrial maintenance.
And let me just say that while we are very, very thankful for the funding that we get from the state, we couldn't do what we do without the business partners that we have. Not only do they keep us relevant in terms of the curriculum in our classrooms, but they also step up to make sure that we are relevant in many cases with that equipment, so that when a student leaves our facilities and they enter their facilities, that they're going to see basically the same kinds of equipment. So we get a tremendous support from our business community in terms of dollars for equipment, and in many cases equipment that those students are all really going to need.
It's important. Well, tell me what your thoughts are on dual enrollment.
Oh, I love dual enrollment. Dual enrollment in the technical college system, to me, let me go back and say to you that, as I said earlier, the average age of our students is 27 years old. The average age of a high school graduate is what, 18 years old? What dual enrollment does to me is that it bridges that 9-year gap. It says to these younger students, get a jump start on this. You can come through technical college dual enrollment. You can earn credit that is transferable either to our college or to any senior college or university in the state through the Excel program. And it really does not count against your Hope Cap, so thereby making it not free to you, but from mom and dad's perspective, that's 5 or 6 courses that they will not have to go pay for. So again, I think that it bridges that gap. I think that it prepares young people for what they're going to see in college, because it really is college. West Georgia Tech has taken the position that they are college students, and while they still are high school students, when they're in a college class, they are treated no differently than any other college student would be treated.
Well, I'm very proud of all our dual enrollment programs. I'm very proud of our instructors. They've got experience background. They've worked in the business. They know what's needed out there.
And Leigh, let me just say one other thing that has just come to mind about this whole dual enrollment. Many young people will use dual enrollment. Maybe they think they want to be a nurse. Well, they'll use the dual enrollment program as a validation of that. They might take the nurse aid program for a year. And that may be the validation that they need to say, well, you know what, nursing is really what I wanted to do, or, oh, no, nurse is not what I wanted to do. But the other piece to that I think is just so vital about the dual enrollment is that, again, whether you go to a technical college or you go to a board or region school or a private school in this state, it is expensive. Some are more expensive than others. So if you have learned some basic skills that you can work while you are also in school, I think that helps to mitigate the amount of liability that you have at the end and the amount of dollars that you may owe back at the end, or maybe you can help mom and dad with that. So again, I don't really see a situation where a student or really any stakeholder in any of our communities, whether it's the colleges, whether it's high school, because again, I would tell you that it's our experience that dual enrollment students graduate from high school at a rate that is above 98%.
There's no doubt.
So again, it is a worthwhile program to all of the stakeholders that are in our community.
Well, we've run out of time, so I sure do appreciate you being here today. You have your experience and your knowledge and your background is so valuable to West Georgia Tech, and your experiences have certainly been very enlightening today for our viewers, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that.
Anytime. And thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next time on Tech Savvy.